Hi everybody, welcome. So glad you can join me today. I'm Lori. For those of you that don't know me, I'd like to welcome you to our practice today. And although it may not be a traditional practice, we're grateful that we can still bring you your yoga. So you can still practice in the comfort of your home, surrounded by loved ones, being safe during this time. I know it's a little out of all of our comfort zones. It's definitely out of mine. I'd much rather have you here in the studio seeing your smiling faces, but I know we'll be there soon. We all miss you very much. But today I'm gonna share a practice with you about creating space. And yoga is perfect for creating space. And why that's important is when we create space in our bodies, we are unblocking that stuck energy. We're releasing those things that no longer serve us, and we're creating space to allow all the good to come in. And so in yoga, in our physical postures, the asanas, we do opening postures that open maybe our heart, our hips, and we allow that stuck energy to dissolve. And it's really powerful when we combine it with our breath. When we focus especially on that deep diaphragmatic breath, we are opening up, we're increasing the capacity of our lungs, we're making space for our vital organs to do their work. And we also create space in our practice within ourselves, creating space in our mind. And we do that when we find places of rest, beginning and end of our practice, when we settle in. All of those pieces come together in yoga to help us open our hearts, open ourselves up to invite love and compassion in. And so today we'll do a lot of opening postures. So let's get started. You can stay seated or you can come to your back. I'm going to stay seated here. But find what's right for you. Find a place where you can settle in, and we'll close our eyes. Let's just start by noticing our body. Whether we're seated or lying down, just feeling our connection to the mat and starting to release and relax. Starting with the muscles of our face, relaxing our eyes, our mouth, the jaw, relaxing our shoulders, and then starting to connect with our breath to create that space within. We'll start with that 3-part breath. And so on our inhale, we feel our belly rise, our rib cage expand, and our chest lift as we fill those lungs with air. And then on an exhale, releasing that in reverse, emptying it all out so that we can make space. Maybe we place one hand on our chest and one on our belly so that we can feel our belly rise on our inhale, and then our rib cage expand and our chest lift. And then on our exhale, letting it all go. Continue with that breath for a few more rounds. Starting to create that space. And we start also to create space within ourselves by letting go of all the worry and the anxiety and just kind of let it go for now. And as those thoughts maybe creep back in, that's okay. Just acknowledge them and send them on their way for now. And each time they start to creep back in, it's coming back to the breath. As we settle in here for another moment or two, I want to share a quote with you. It's from a gentleman named Viktor Frankl, and he was an Austrian psychiatrist, I believe, and he wrote an amazing book, if you ever get a chance to read it, called Man's Search for Meaning. And it's a book that contains his memoirs about being in the Nazi death camp. And that sounds like it might be a really depressing book, but on the contrary, it is a book of hope and courage and strength and light. And he talks a lot about how your response to a certain situation shapes the outcome. And I think we forget that sometimes, that our response to the events that life throws in our path can change our outcome and can help us to grow. And so here's a quote from Viktor Frankl that I just love. He says, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies growth and freedom." And so in our yoga practice, we seek to find that space, to create it. And then when a situation arises, perhaps we can find that space between the stimulus and our response and just pause for a moment and make a choice of how we will respond. So looking for the space between what happens in the world and how we respond. Start to open our eyes here. We're going to start to find some movement in our practice and begin to open and create that space. So if you're seated, let's come down to our back. And we're going to start with a nice overhead stretch, really reaching our arms out behind us, pointing our toes in front of us, inhaling nice and long. Exhale, let's draw right knee in. Inhale, we'll send it out long, finding that length, creating space in our body. Exhaling, we'll bring left knee in this time. Inhaling, stretching out long. Then our exhale, let's bring both knees in this time. Maybe find a little movement for our spine here. Maybe rocking gently back and forth or making circles with our spine on the mat. Whatever feels good. And we'll meet here at center. We'll start to open up our hips. We're going to make those opposite knee circles here, letting our hands gently guide our knees around in opposite directions, feeling our hips gently open, making sure we stop and go in the other direction. We'll meet back at center and we'll send our arms and legs up long. Start to find some movement for our wrists and our ankles, making circles in one direction. And then stopping and reversing here. Then we'll bring the soles of our feet to the mat. And we'll roll over to one side, coming into that fetal position, taking a breath here. Then we'll make our way up to seated at the top of our mat. Let's start to find some movement for our neck here. We'll start with just some slow, Small circles with our nose. Next time our chin comes down toward our chest, we'll stop and go in the other direction. And we'll find a little bit of movement for our shoulders, just lifting up and back, nice and gentle. And then we'll interlace our fingers, flipping our palms out and bring it behind our head. And on an inhale, we'll open our heart, elbows extending out to the side. And then exhaling, we'll round, bringing our elbows together in front of us. Inhaling, we open. Exhale, we round. Let's do that 2 more times. Really feeling our heart shine forward as we open. We'll release, and let's place our left hand on the mat next to us. On an inhale, our right arm opens out to the side. Exhale, it sweeps in front of us and behind. Inhale, we open. And exhale, that hand comes to the mat. And we'll do that on the other side. Inhale, feeling our chest open. Exhale. Inhale, we open. Exhale, we release. Let's do that 1 more time each side. Feeling our body open on our inhales. Making our movement match our breath to create space. We'll place both hands on our knees as we prepare for seated cat-cow. So on an inhale, we'll send our heart forward, our chin lifts, and then exhale, we round. Inhale into our seated cow. Exhale, rounding into our cat. 2 more times here. Maybe closing your eyes as we flow. Feeling the space we're creating with movement and breath. And we'll meet back at center. We're going to sweep our legs behind us so we're coming into all fours. So in all fours, remember our shoulders are over wrists. Our hips are over our knees. And we'll flow in our kneeling cat-cow. So on an inhale, our belly drops. Our chin lifts, our hips lift, and exhale. We round and we tuck. Inhaling into our cow. Exhaling, rounding into cat. You close your eyes, see how that feels. No rush, moving with your breath. Nourishing our spine with breath and movement. Well, 1 more time. We'll meet back with a neutral spine. We're going to prepare for spinal balance. So we're going to have some options here. So let's start by just inhaling that right arm out in front of us. Exhale, we replace it on the mat. Inhale, left arm comes out. Exhale, we release. And we have the option to add our legs. So on an inhale, right arm, left leg extends out behind us. Exhale, we release. Inhale, left arm, right leg. And we can continue flowing with this, or we can add a crunch. So inhaling, right arm, left leg. Exhale, drawing elbow and knee in. Inhaling, we extend. Exhale, we release. Inhaling, left arm, right leg out long. Exhale, tucking, bringing knee and elbow in. Inhale, we extend. And exhale, release. Let's do that one more time, each side. Deciding on your flow. Really feeling the space you create as you inhale and lengthen. We'll meet back at all fours. Flow with our arms, opening up our chest in a gentle twist. So left hand, fingers spread wide, connecting with the mat. Inhale, right arm floats up as we twist. Exhale, we release. Inhaling, left arm floats up. Matching movement with your breath. Feeling our length on our inhale. One more time, each side. Feeling that space we're creating. When we're done flowing, let's come into our child. So let's find that stillness. That stillness that allows us to create space in our heart and in our mind. Finding a place for your head to rest. Maybe it's the mat or blocks or your stacked fist. We'll inhale into all fours, and then tucking our toes, we'll send our hips up to the sky and down dog. Our knees can be bent a little or a lot. We can pedal out our dog, pressing one heel and the other toward the earth. Letting our head hang heavy, our face, our jaw, relax. And then slowly we begin the journey to the top of our mat, where we'll meet in forward fold. We'll bend our knees, sink our hips, and inhale, we rise. And we'll take a moment here, connecting hands to heart. Inhale, we'll float arms up. Exhale, we're twisting. One hand in front of us, one behind. Inhale, up at center. Exhale, twisting in the other direction. Continue flowing here, finding length on your inhale. One more time, each side. We'll release our arms. Let's continue to flow here, warming our body and opening our chest and our heart. We'll inhale, arms open to the side. Exhale, sinking into chair. Inhale, we open. Exhale, we sink. We can turn this into a twisting chair if we'd like. Inhaling, open. Exhale, left elbow touches right thigh. Inhale, we open. Exhale, we sink. We'll do that one more time each side if we're twisting. We'll all meet in mountain. Let's close our eyes here, feeling the connection of our feet to the earth. Let's find a chest expansion here, opening up our chest, our heart. So we're going to lift our shoulders back and around, and we're reaching for our hands behind us. Maybe we hold that imaginary beach ball. Maybe our fingers interlace as we press our knuckles toward the earth. As our chest shines forward, leading with our heart. We'll release. Inhale, arms float up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, right foot steps back. Exhale, left back to meet it and down dog. We'll inhale into plank. Exhale, we'll come into child's. Creating stillness, creating that space between stimulus and response. We'll inhale up to all fours. And we're going to bring that right foot up in between our hands. So let's walk our hands over to the left. We'll sweep that right foot up. And we're in low lunge. So our knee is over our ankle. Our back foot is out long behind us. We're going to start to flow here. So we're going to walk our fingertips back as we sink our hips toward our heels. Our front toes pop up. We'll walk up and back. Moving with our breath. Opening up our hips. Do that one more time. Meeting up in our low lunge. Our left hand is going to stay placed firmly on the earth. Our right arm floats up as we twist. Settling in here for 3 to 5 breaths, feeling the opening of our heart and our chest as we shine it forward. One more breath here. And we'll release, framing our front foot. Then we're going to lift up, placing our hands on our thighs. And this is a bit of a balance, so take a moment. Find a spot to gaze and settle in. An option to stay right here, or opening our heart, reaching behind for that chest expansion. We'll release, bringing our hands back down to frame our front foot. We're going to send that right foot back out long behind us. So our heel is pressing back. And then our left knee is going to stay right where it's at. We're going to kick our left toes off the mat. And then we'll turn our body to face the long edge. We have options here in our side plank. That extended leg can be off the mat or can connect with the mat. Our right arm can float up, can find our hip, or maybe we reach for our right ankle or pant leg. Feeling our hips and our chest open as we make this an active stretch. Continuing to breathe helps us create that space. And then we'll release, meeting back in all fours. We'll get ready to do that on the other side. So we'll walk our hands over to the right, sweeping that left foot up, coming into our low lunge, making sure knee is over ankle. And then starting to walk our fingertips back, sinking our hips toward our heel, and then walking forward. Inhaling as we feel the length of our body. Exhaling as we come back. Do that 2 more times. Matching your movement to your breath. Nobody else's. And then our right hand stays connected to the mat or a block as our left arm floats up in our twist. Feeling the length in our body. If this doesn't feel right for our shoulder, that hand can always come to our hip. We're really focusing on opening our chest here. One more breath. And then we'll frame our front foot, and carefully, taking our time, we'll come up, placing our hands on our left thigh, an option to stay right here, or option to opening our arms to the side, and maybe this is where we choose to stay, or maybe we take that chest expansion, shining our heart forward, creating space for all the good to enter. Release. Bringing our hands down to frame that front foot. So we're going to send our left leg out long, pressing toward the wall behind us. Our right knee stays where it is as our right toes kick off the mat. This time our body turns to the long edge on the other side, choosing where we need to be here. Letting go of any judgment or expectation about what it should look like. Your practice, your choice. Just really connect to your breath here, feeling the opening, feeling the space you're creating. And then we'll release. Let's come into Child's for a breath or two here. And even in moments of rest, we can create length and space. So maybe we walk our fingertips out even more as we settle into Child's. Or maybe we take prayer hands, fingers pointing toward our back, walking our elbows forward a little bit. Feeling that nice gentle tricep stretch. And we'll come up into all fours, and then we're going to come into down dog. So sending our hips up toward the sky, taking a moment here in down dog. Really feel the connection of your hands and your feet to the mat as your shoulders and your neck and your face and your head just relax here. And we're going to open up our hips. We're going to start by sending our right foot up to the sky. And then we're going to kick that right foot over toward our left hip as we gaze under our right arm. Feeling the opening of our hip, releasing all those things that no longer serve. Then we'll come back to center here. We're going to bring that right foot up between our hands, and we can come down to all fours and sweep it up there like we did before. Otherwise, if we suck our belly button into our spine, creating some space, and then lunging that foot forward, helping it if we need to. Our back foot turns to 90 degrees as we bring ourselves up to Warrior Two. So in Warrior Two, our front toes are facing forward, our back foot is at 90 degrees, so it's parallel to the short edge of our mat. Our shoulders, our chest, our torso face the long edge. And we extend fingertips in front of and behind us, gazing peacefully over our front middle finger. Continuing to breathe. We can stay here, we can flow. Inhaling, straightening that front leg, arms float up. Exhale, we sink. Rising up on our inhale, sinking on our exhale. Let's do that 2 more times. And then we're going to come forward into side angle, so right forearm finds right thigh. Our left arm can be up, it can be on our hip, the small of our back. But let's really focus on that chest being open. Maybe take your hand and place it on your chest. And actually physically pressing back, rolling our shoulder back. Feeling that opening. 2 more breaths here. We'll cartwheel our arms around to frame our front foot, back toes turn forward as we step back into down dog. We'll do that on the other side. So inhaling, left leg floats up. And then we kick our left heel over toward our right hip, gazing under our left arm. Feeling that opening, creating space. We'll bring that leg back to center, and then we're going to step that foot up, choosing how you get there. Helping it if you need. Turning that back foot to 90 degrees as we bring ourselves up into Warrior Two on the other side. So take a moment to set that up. Making sure your shoulders, your chest are facing the long edge as you settle in here. Finding your breath. Focus on creating space between your shoulders and your ears. And then we have that option to flow. Inhaling, arms float up and front leg straightens. Exhale, we sink. Inhaling, we rise. Move with your breath. One more here. And then we'll come into that side angle. Feeling that opening of our heart shining forward. Looking for that space that allows us to choose our response to whatever the world throws our way. One more breath here. We'll cartwheel our arms around to frame our front toes, turn our back toes forward, and we'll step back into down dog. And then let's come into child's. We'll inhale into all fours. Exhale, down dog. And then we'll make our way to the top of our mat, meeting in forward fold. Let's just hang here in forward fold. Really releasing, relaxing our shoulders, our neck, muscles of our face. Inhaling to monkey, hands on shins, spine flat, crown of the head pressing forward. Exhaling, forward fold, and then inhaling, we'll rise. Let's release into mountain, taking a few moments here for breath. Closing our eyes. Now we're going to come into Warrior One. So we're going to start by stepping our right foot back first. So in Warrior One, our front toes face forward. Our back toes are at about 45 degrees. And both feet are firmly connected to the mat. And our torso has a tendency to turn toward the long edge. We really want to make sure our shoulders, our chest, our torso are facing the front edge of our mat. And if this is ever difficult, we can always choose high lunge. So in high lunge, our back toes are facing forward and our heel is off the mat. Whatever your choice, settle in here to Warrior One. We can stay right here, or we can choose to create space and opening by having cactus arms, lifting our arms up to the sky, creating space between our shoulders and our ears. One more breath here. We'll release our arms And reach behind, grabbing that beach ball. Maybe our fingers interlace as we press our knuckles toward the earth, shining our heart forward. And as we release, we'll straighten that front leg, turning all 10 toes to the long edge. And adjust your stance as we prepare to come into wide-legged fold. Let's inhale, finding our length here. And then exhale, keeping that spine nice and straight. We're hinging at our hips, coming into that fold. Our hands can rest on our thighs, our shins, maybe a block or the mat. Wherever you are in your fold, let your head hang heavy. Focus on relaxing your shoulders. Focusing on that breath. Knowing with every breath you're creating space. And then we'll walk our hands around to frame our front foot. All 10 toes are turning forward. We'll bend that back knee a lot, stepping up to the top of our mat in forward fold. And then inhaling, we'll rise. We'll get ready to do that on the other side. So this time, left foot steps back, about 45 degrees. Our front toes are facing forward. Making sure that our chest, our shoulders are facing forward, and then settle in to your warrior one. As you connect to your breath, connect to the strength in your lower body, feeling it support you. And then decide where your arms need to be here. Making sure to create space between shoulders and ears if our arms are up. One more breath. And we'll release our arms and find that chest expansion, lifting our heart, shining it forward. We'll release. Straightening that front leg, we'll turn all 10 toes to the long edge. Let's find the stance that works for us. And then hinging at the hips, coming into that fold. Deciding where that is for you today. Creating space by releasing and letting go. Maybe finding some movement. So left hand stays on the mat as right arm floats up. Opening our heart in a twist. Exhale, we release. Then inhaling, left arm floats up. And we release. Walk our hands around to the front. We'll step that back foot up to meet the right and forward fold. And then inhaling, we rise. Let's release, taking a moment here in mountain. Take a moment to feel your connection to your mat. Shoulders are down, away from our ears, palms facing forward. And then we will prepare for our balance pose today, which will be tree. So let's start by making our left foot our firm foundation. Take a moment to find a spot on the floor in front of you that you can gaze. And then we're just going to kickstand our right foot against our left ankle. And maybe this is where we stay. Or maybe we choose another option today. Decide where it is you need to be. No judgment, no expectations. Really focus on maybe pressing that knee toward the wall behind you, opening up your hips. Growing our branches if that's in our practice. Finding the space we need to grow. Always connecting to our breath, don't stop breathing. Knowing if you fall out, you can always come back in. Slowly we'll release. Maybe shake that out a little bit. We'll do that on the other side. So this time, right foot is our foundation. Lift our shoulders up and back, palms forward for balance to start. And we'll kickstand that left leg this time. Take a moment to find your spot to gaze at. And then decide what your tree looks like today. Knowing that no two trees look the same. Really feel that opening of your hips. Finding your tree, maybe growing your branches. One more breath here. And slowly and with care, we'll release, and let's find some organic movement here, shaking that all out. As we get ready to bring it back down to our mat, let's inhale, arms up. Exhale, we come into forward fold. And we'll step back, come to all fours, and then we're going to lower ourselves to our belly. And let's just find a nice overhead stretch here to start. Really feeling the length of our body here, stretching it out. Then we're going to practice half bow. So in half bow, we're going to start with our right forearm, and it's going to be parallel to our chest. We're really pressing in to our forearm on the mat. Let's make sure our hips are level. And we're going to bend our left knee, and we're going to reach behind with our left hand. Reaching for that pant leg or ankle, and as we press into our forearm, our chest lifts. Feeling our opening here of our heart, of our chest. And we'll release that. Coming back into that overhead stretch one time. Do that on the other side. So this time our left forearm is on the mat in front of us, parallel to our chest. Pressing into our forearm. We'll bend our right knee this time, reaching behind for that pant leg or ankle. As we kick our ankle into our hand, we're pressing into that forearm, feeling the lift in our chest, our heart. Knowing you can come out at any time. Otherwise, we'll settle in here for 2 more breaths. And slowly release. Let's rest our cheek on our hands here. And we're going to slowly slide, bend our right knee and slide it along the mat. So it's coming up about as opposite from our hip as we can get. And And just settling here and resting, half frog. Feeling that opening in our right hip. Relaxing everything else. And we'll send that leg out long behind us. We'll rest our opposite cheek on our hands, and this time our left knee bends and we slide it up along our mat. So our knee is resting opposite our hip. As we settle in here and relax. Send that leg out long behind us, and then drawing our hands in under our shoulders, we'll press ourselves up, and then we're going to come into child's. So, nice counter pose to that half bow that we did. And remember, even in rest in child's, we have options. Our knees can be together, or I like wide-legged child's pose, so my toes are connecting behind me and my knees are apart, so that as I sink into child, my belly falls in between my legs. Letting yourself melt into the mat here. We'll come up into all fours, and we'll sink to one hip, sweeping our legs around in front of us. And we're going to send one leg out long at an angle. We're going to take the sole of our right foot, place it on the inside of our left thigh. Let's start by sitting nice and tall here. And our left hand is going to find our right knee. And inhaling, right arm floats up. And exhaling, find a gentle stretch to the left. Inhaling, feeling that length along our side body, creating that space, that opening. Slowly inhale our way back up and release. And we'll send our right leg out long, angling toward the right top corner of your mat. The sole of your left foot comes in. Sitting nice and tall. This time our right hand finds our left knee and left arm inhales up. And exhale. Finding that gentle stretch to the right. On our inhale, maybe we create more length, more space. One more breath here. And we'll release. We'll send both legs out in front of us for a seated fold. So we kind of moving stuff out of the way here a little bit. Sitting nice and tall, our knees are bent just slightly. And on our exhale, we're hinging from our hips and we're shining our heart toward our toes. There's no expectation to bring your nose to your knees. When I try to do that, my back rounds. I want to feel the length in my spine. And so it's more about shining your heart forward. And maybe on your inhale, you find a little more length, so that on your exhale, you find a deeper stretch, but maybe not, and that's okay. We'll slowly walk ourselves back up. Let's come to butterfly, so the soles of our feet together here. And if you happen to have a block or a pillow or a blanket, it's nice to elevate our hips here. Sit nice and tall. Closing our eyes. Focusing on our breath, allowing it to create that stillness and that space. We'll slowly and gently draw our knees, bring our knees together. And we're going to find our way back down to our back. So let's find our way down. Let's start with a nice overhead stretch. And then we'll draw both knees into our chest. And let's really give ourselves a nice massage here, rocking back and forth, maybe all the way from one elbow to the other. Do whatever feels good here. We'll come back to center. We're going to send our left leg out long, keeping our right knee in. Really drawing it in toward our armpit, toward our shoulder. Then we're going to guide it open to the right. Left arm can rest beside us. Really feel that hip opening. Releasing any blocked energy. Anything we're holding on to that we don't need anymore. Release it and make space for all the goodness to enter. Making sure both shoulders stay connected to the mat. And gently guide that knee back to center, this time taking it with our left hand and drawing it over to the other side. Our right arm can be in a T on the mat next to us. Our gaze can look over that right arm. Again, making sure our shoulders are connected with the mat. Slowly, we'll bring that knee back to center and then send it out long as we draw our left knee in this time. Really draw it in, feeling that stretch. And then opening it to the left this time. Letting our hand guide it open as both hips and shoulders stay connected. Really focusing our breath on our hips here. Sending that inhale to our hip. Creating that space. Slowly guide that knee back to center and over in the other direction this time. So our left arm can come out in a T on the mat, making sure both shoulders are connected, and we need to adjust a little bit. Slowly bring that back to center, and let's place the soles of both feet on the mat here. We're going to cross our right ankle, placing it over around our left knee, and we're just going to gently press away on our right thigh, flexing our right foot. And then keeping everything right where it is, we're going to slowly drop our knee over to the right. So our whole set of legs here, just the way they are, tipping over to the right. Again, keeping our shoulders plugged into the mat. Using the strength of our core, we'll slowly bring everything back to center. And this time, we're going to bring everything over to the left. So the toes of that right foot are reaching over to the mat. They may not touch, and that's okay. Slowly bring everything back to center. Uncrossing, we'll place the sole of our right foot on the mat. And this time our left ankle, we'll place it on our right knee. And we'll start by gently just pressing away on our left thigh, feeling that stretch. Our left foot is flexed. Feeling that gentle opening. And then slowly we'll tip everything to the left so that left knee is moving toward the floor on the left. It may get there, it may not. Again, we want to make sure our shoulders are connected, so adjusting if we need to make that happen. Full breaths here. Gently use our core strength to come back to center and then make our way to the other side. So this time the toes of our left foot are coming over to the mat on our right side this time. Feeling that release. Creating that space. Guide everything back to center. Uncrossing here. Let's find one more nice opener for our hips here. So we're going to come into happy baby. So we're going to lift those bent legs off the mat. And we can reach behind our thighs and just draw them in gently toward our chest. We can grasp behind our calves and pull our knees down toward our shoulders. Again, we want to make sure our shoulders are connected to the mat. Or we can make peace fingers, grasping our big toes. And gently pulling our knees toward the mat. Never straining. When we're trying to open and create space, we never want to strain. We always go to where our body knows it needs to be. So always listening to your body, connecting to your breath. Two more breaths here. And we'll release. And we're going to come into legs up a wall. So if you have a block or a pillow or a blanket you want under your hips, go ahead and place it there. Now you don't need one. We're going to send our legs up to the sky. And just settle in here for several breaths. Knowing how important inversions are in our practice. So many benefits to inversions. And this is a lovely pose if perhaps headstand or shoulder stand are not in your practice. They're not in mine, so I practice this one a lot. You're getting the same benefits. So settle in here for a few more breaths. You are welcome to stay here for a few more breaths, or if there's anything else your body is asking for to complete your practice today, I invite you to go there now. Otherwise, if you're ready to come into your final relaxation, your Shavasana, I invite you to find your way there now. Make yourself comfortable, maybe putting on a sweater, socks, if you have a blanket you want to cover up. Take the time to do that now. Settling in, coming to our back. Just letting everything go. Looking for that space that's created when we connect to our breath and release our thoughts. And as you settle in here for the next few moments, I'd like to share a reading I found. Actually, I found it about 20 minutes before I headed out the door, and I thought it was really appropriate for the times. And it's by Jack Kornfield. And he says, "Dear friends, we have a choice. How will we respond? With greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance? This only brings more suffering. Or with generosity, clarity, steadiness, and love. This is the time for love. In this moment, we can sit quietly, take a deep breath, and acknowledge our fear and apprehension, our uncertainty and helplessness, and hold all these feelings with compassionate hearts. We can say to our feelings and uncertainty, 'Thank you for trying to protect me. I'm okay for now.' We can put those fears in the lap of whatever higher power that we might believe in. It is time right now for us to be the medicine, the uplifting music, the lamp in the darkness. Burst out with love and be a carrier of hope. Trust your dignity and goodness. Where others hoard, help. Where others deceive, stand up for truth. Where others are overwhelmed or uncaring, be kind and respectful. Sit quietly again and ask your heart, what is my best intention? My most noble aspiration for this difficult time? Your heart will answer. And let this vow become your North Star. Whenever you feel lost, remember, and it will remind you of what matters.